Alright, welcome to episode 82 of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, then, we had a load of events that I completely forgot what happened. Because I recorded the last episode ages ago. Like, last week, I think. Which isn't that long ago, but, you know. Anyway, we saw some decolonization around the world, with the Germans giving up a majority of their colony. I think the Russians also attacked the Blue Country in Central Asia. The Spanish, quite possibly, might have decolonized their Indian colony. And there were probably some more events that occurred and I forgot. Anyway, we're thinking about today's episode today, so let's do that. I also saw like nukes and stuff, which is interesting. I also updated religion, so I don't know why it looks like that down here in South America. That's strange. But yeah, there's like a new darker version of the Spanish religion. That's because it's deviated away. So England, just the colonial sort of stuff. We have a few. I swear I made it that new. Is that the same color? Because the Koreans are meant to have, like, over here in America, the Korean religion. Yeah, I don't know why it hasn't done that. I thought I did that. The Korean religion has deviated away and become its own sort of thing, but not over there in the East. It doesn't matter at the moment. I'll fix it later. But yeah, most of the American strains of the religions have changed, except for over here in like Quebec area where it's still the same, and over here like Venezuela where they still worship the same African religion. So that's cool. And here in Peru, weirdly enough. Anyway, yeah, there's that. There's also lots of Romans in Sumatra, but let's get on with today's episode because loads of fun things. Oh yeah, there's a war in India. What is that? I remember that, and now I'm going to go to Russia instead. I can think of a good segue, so oh well. The Russians are once again going to be invading a nation, and why is it that color? There we go. And this time it's going to be once again another very poor country, and most countries are poor compared to Russia. And it's going to be the red country right over here. So the Russians send their forces in over in the north, and they push right towards the capital city, taking a major city very quickly, and taking the capital and the surrounding cities within like a few days after that. They move in over here in the west, and eventually move towards this city. A few groups are going to retreat because this country isn't a dictatorship, so the dictator is going to flee to like any other major area, and because of that, we see the yellow, like beige country invade here in the south. However, they don't do too much, as it's not too long until the Russians just send their forces in, completely capitulating this country, and now they're going to go to a peace treaty. Alright, so here it is. It's a pretty simple one. The Russians will be taking over the entire red team country, including the capital city, obviously. They're not just going to leave it as a city-state. However, of course, why is there no city there? How strange. I'm just going to give them a city. But yeah, obviously, you can see the yellow team hasn't gained any land from this country, and that's kind of weird because they helped in the war. They helped the Russians to win the war. They don't really need the help, but you know. So really, they should have got some land. However, down here in the south, you can see there is this small territory over here, and that's because this area contains two cities, which are trying to rebel away from the Russians and recreate the blue team, or just join the green team if they couldn't do that. So the Russians are like, well, they're kind of a similar sort of group to you guys. They're all part of this dark green religion. You could have it instead. You know, it's economically a lot stronger than any of the land you would have got here in the south, except for maybe this province, but they definitely wouldn't have got that because there's like two cities in there. So, yeah, you can have this land instead. And that's a pretty good deal for the other team. So they'll take the Russians up on it and they'll gain all of that land. I don't exactly love the border, but it's what we've got. So, oh well. Anyway, why do I want to go now? Let's go. There's a few areas I want to go to. Let's go to the nation of whatever this country is. Germany. There we go. As they will finally be fully decolonizing all of their colonies, apart from maybe those islands, but that's not meant to be there. With the final colony being the strongest one in this nation right here, and it's going to be released this color because it's got New York, so it's kind of orangey. And there we go. That was pretty simple. One entire colony fully released by itself, and now we need to give it a capital city. It's going to be one of the top economies in North America, like the Americas in general. There's not too many like super great ones, so yeah, that's fair. I don't know where they're going to put their capital though. There's like a few spaces they really could put it. They might put it up in the north just because historically that was where the country was based, but I think I might put it here. So there we go. Here is our newest North American nation, and now North America is entirely decolonized. The south just has this bit on Horn Island. But like as for American power rankings, I would say the strongest country in the Americas is probably, like, they're all pretty close. one of these Brazilian, probably the northern Brazilian country, followed by like the south, then this country, then this reddish one, then it's maybe this guy. They're all pretty close up here. Then like Texas, maybe purple Mexico. Some of these Quebecan guys, they're all fairly strong. Maybe the Peruvian countries, Uruguay, like the North Uruguay, and then South Buenos Aires country. I don't know. I went to my series, so I should know. Anyway, California's probably pretty strong as well. Where do I want to go next? Yeah, can't think of any good segues today. But let's go to Persia. Now, Persia is a very old country. You know, they've been here since episode 1. That's a long time. And they have not, for one episode entirely, well, no, they've been in every single episode. That's what I mean. They haven't really done anything since, like, episode 30, however. So, they've had their borders stay the same for, like, 50 episodes. For a really long time. They influenced some stuff in Turkey. I think they funded some groups. But that really didn't change much. And today, the Arabic Union is going to be returning the Russian aggression on the red team with their own invasion, sort of counter-aggression, as Arabic Union forces now begin an invasion into their ancient rival, the purple Persian country. Arabic forces push around here in the west at the start of the war, taking a city right there in the north, and also pushing just straight along the border into the coastal regions. The Arabic Union is now the most powerful country in the entire world, so they have a pretty easy time pushing around this nation. They push up, take this city, and of course they collapse on this front, and then begin an invasion down here on the southern coast. And yeah, it's not great for these guys. Their capital is now definitely under threat, and they failed in all their counteroffensives, like to make any major gains. And it's going to get even worse as we look over to the east, and we see the nation of Pakistan, who of course will also be joining the war. So Pakistani troops move out from there, their border with Persia, which is kind of surprising because this country has not only the same religion as Persia, well, not entirely. Think about. Okay, I can't do. There you go. So that's all the Persian areas in their country. They've got a few other territories. I think I should have done it the other way around, but oh well. What am I doing? Yeah. So how the Pakistani country has this belief that they are the greatest of all Persian countries. There are those 5 split-off Persian countries, and the only ones left are the Pakistani and the Tibetan country, who's now moved to Tibet, so they're not really the same. And Pakistan's united all the rest of the ones, except for like a tiny bit over here. So yeah, they're pretty pleased, and they want to now wipe out the original country for all this stuff, and that is going to be the nation of Persia, as they move in, taking the capital city. However, the Persians have had some rivals across their history, you know, the Arabic Union, or Mesopotamia, India, but also Central Asia. Unfortunately, the Central Asians have a very small border over here. However, there's a better representative for Central Asia at the moment, and it's the Orange Team, as their forces move into the north, taking one major city and pushing out from these areas, kind of like filling the bit in between all this stuff. They begin another offensive down to this city. However, they don't really want to meet up with the Pakistani country, because these two really hate each other. Like religious stuff, historical stuff, yeah, they really don't like each other very much. So they more stick to the Arabic Union, who has pretty good relations with them, like they're the biggest trade partner probably. But there you go. Arabic Union and Pakistan eventually divided the rest of the territory, probably not with a straight line like this. And now I'm going to go to a peace treaty where this country will be fully divided up. Alright, so I drew in some borders. It took like a little bit. As you can see, the Pakistani country did control this. In a way, we can kind of make that into law, because you just say the Arabic Union was like, hey, give me that, or else I'll invade you, because I could easily beat you. Anyway, the Orange country is going to take over this land here in the north, so that definitely expands their territory a bit. The Arabic Union will take over all of this territory down in the south, and this bit including the capital city, and Pakistan will take over the remainder of the territory. And then as for this island, it becomes a city. No, that'd be kind of cool if it did make it into a city-state, but it goes under Arabic Union control. And there we go, the capital is now demoted, and one of the oldest countries in the world is now gone. I think it might be the only country in the world that was formed in episode 1 and never disappeared. Oh no, Central Asia's always existed. Never mind. So yeah, new borders over here. Looks a lot more yellow. Where do I want to go now? Alliances and power rankings. Something I did kind of realize on the power... What's layer 19? I don't know. On power rankings was that I forgot Norway. So Norway should have been 9th. Maybe they just had a big recession after the war. They were invaded a lot by the Russians and the Germans. so that's fair. But number one is still Arabic Union, number two Russia, number three Germany. Britain is just about number four. China's, with the help of Germany and other allies and just globalization and stuff, China's economy and their industrialization, their economic growth has gone absolutely through the roof. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next episode China was number four. Carthage is number 6, number 7 is Blue Spain, number 8 is France, number 9 Norway, and number 10 Indochina. So Pakistan has fallen from their number 10 position, however they are still really strong and like pretty close to being number 10, so it's all good. Anyway, there's power rankings. Let's go look at some alliances, because something just changed in the alliances of the world, and that is that one of the alliances is going to be expanding. And yeah, the Russian alliance is going to be expanding as a certain ally of theirs is a little bit afraid, and that nation, or a certain nation near them, is a little bit afraid, and that nation is of course the country of Pakistan, a military dictatorship like all of Russia's allies apparently, which is not intentional, but how it ended up. They will be joining the Russian alliance, which is square. Here we go. And yeah, this is a pretty strategic ally to Russia. They're a bit of a way between, like a bit of a distance from Russia, but there's all these countries in between them in Central Asia, which seems to be Russia's new target for expansion. And they're kind of close to China's allies in Tibet and China. They're also right next to the Arabic Union, so it could be really, really helpful. And they also really hate Tibet, so that could be good. And yeah, raises tensions in India, I suppose. We also have economic alliances. In the last episode, we got a new Indian economic alliance. And also the square one's grown because these guys got more land, so that's fun. Most of these countries up in the north here probably aren't going to join this because of their ideology. Like all of these guys are dictatorships or military dictatorships or monarchies, so they would be unlikely to join, or absolute monarchies. But over here in India, we can definitely see expansion for this one. You can't really see ideology as well, but currently we have. Oh yeah, I added outlines. I don't know if that was like a good thing, but the light blue is center left. The darker blue, which is only really present in like Austria, that's very left wing. The salmon is right wing or center right, and then dark red like in Germany, and this country is very right, and the green is centrist like in Norway and Romania. I don't know. I was going to add that later on in the series when there were more democratic countries, but I did it now because I was interested. I don't know. I was just like, well, I wonder what that would look like. But yeah, in this alliance already we've got mostly democracies and then like two oligarchies. So this alliance definitely could do some more stuff. However, we look at currency because that also exists. The majority of these countries have the Southern Indian currency, and the alliance kind of wants to strengthen that and make it even stronger. And in the aim of doing that, they want to add or force these countries to move to the Indian currency. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to force the nation of Bihar, who wants a better economy because their economy sucks. They're like the poorest country in all of India, and also just India in general, to move to this economy, turning this economic alliance into a one with a red outline. I'm getting no where's. I'm so bad at finding these alliances. There we go. So the red outline means if you join this alliance, you have to have, you have to have the same currency, which makes the alliance stronger because everyone's like dependent on the same thing, working towards the same currency, and it's all going to be beneficial for everyone. But you know, it's kind of harder to do. All these guys have pretty different currencies. Also going to like what's the word? Bengal doesn't want to join it anymore because they hate the Indians still. It was ages ago that they had their huge conflict in Cold War, but they still kind of hate each other. However, it does make the Southern Indians, or the Karnataka country, more likely to join because their economies, or their currency is being used. So, that's fun. Anyway, where do I want to go now? There's more things to do in the world. There's so many things to do in the world, I'm not really sure which one I want to do. So, I'm going to go think. I guess something I could do is update nuclear bombs, because Russia has 1, the Arabic Union has 4, and Britain's only got 3. Well, nobody really has that many. So Britain, wait, let's find the green first, just before I screw everything up. Britain is going to be developing more than just 3. I think, wait, that's the wrong layout, never mind. Also, this was like 26, so there we go. Britain's going to go up from 3 all the way to 4, so that's great for them. The Russians will be going up from 1 to quite a few, as they're using kind of nuclear stuff, also developed by like the Arabic Union, because they stole information from them. So there you go, all the way up to 5, and then the Arabic Union, who is currently leading in nuclear bombs goes all the way up to 9. So these steps aren't huge, and these countries are both going up by the same amount. Britain's just going up by 1 because they're not super strong anymore. However, we also have to go over here to China because China is developing their very first nuclear bomb. But not only China. There's also China's ally, the nation of Germany, the hegemon of Europe apart from Russia, as they develop their very own nuclear bomb. The first one. There could be a lot more, and there will be, don't worry. But there you go, here are the nuclear numbers in the world. And the scary thing for the world is that although China is by far like the weakest of these great powers, they're also allied to Germany. And more countries are kind of getting into China's sphere of influence. They're taking up China's currency, they're taking up China's, like, their main trade partner. And that's scary to people because China could be an opposition to the Arabic Union and Russia, and it just depends who they enlist into their alliance because they could definitely get some pretty scary members. Anyway, where do I want to go now? Definitely a few places I could go. Depends what type of war I want to do though. So there's so many things I can do. I just don't know what I want to do. But let's go down here to Australia because Australia is kind of fun. And no, I'm not. We're gonna go to West. No, I've gone there now. Let's do Australia. The blue country over here in Australia hates other Australian countries. And by other Australian countries, I mean the ones around them. Because this guy, he's kind of European. This guy's European. And the blue country is a very much an Indian sort of religion country. And they don't like both their neighbours. They're like colonial brothers, I guess. They use the wrong religion, so they need to be extinguished. Kind of a fascist thing, but fascism doesn't exist yet, so yet. Anyway, they're going to invade into the green country, who is pretty poor. There's barely any people who live there in real life, so yeah, it's not going to go great. Forces move in, and the northern country has a lot more support from people in Indonesia because they use the same religion for the most part. So they do a pretty good job at moving in, taking the capital city, and wiping out the other 2 cities in the west of this country. After that, they push in for the 4th city, and now everyone else in this country, and there's like 3 people, they surrender. The government probably fled a bit, but it's fine. Ooh. And there you go. The country, the country is now fully annexed by the Blue Nation, making them a lot more powerful in this region. But also, this land wasn't really worth that much, so you know, it is what it is. But they look kind of cooler, so that's nice. There's a lot of straight lines in Australia, but that's funny, I suppose. Also, a lot more things I want to do with, like, global stuff, but I'm not sure if I should do them yet. To be honest, something I want to do is remove this country, this pink team. You need to go. You look disgusting on the map, and as you saw before with their ideology, they are an extremely far-right country. That's because they lost so much land to the blue team, and the country just hates, like, everyone now. They hate the Carthaginians, they hate the Iberians. Yeah, they're annoyed, and they're going to be invaded now. The peace treaty with the Spanish has run out like a few months ago, maybe, and almost immediately after that, the Spanish country begins an invasion in, moving into the western areas where there's not that much going on, and then pushing in towards these cities over here, whilst the 3rd Division pushes in towards the coast, taking the major city that connects up most of that stuff. And this country is just going to generally fall apart. They move back to their capitals. Well, there's an orange dot from like the old orange country. And there's a siege, and they manage to hold out here for a pretty long amount of time, but eventually the blue team manages to move in on the capital city before finally taking the city over, and after that they fully annex the pink team into their country. So now they have like an even stronger nation, and they're becoming more and more of a rival for Carthage. I mean, they already are like the regional rival for Carthage, but yeah, they also look nicer now, so that's good. And this episode is 18 minutes long, so I think I might end it here. Alright, thanks for watching. Africa is going to have more wars in the next episode because there's so many countries in Africa that I think we maybe need to fix some of that and get rid of some of them. And also the Americas. I need more wars over here, but I have a few ideas for fun things. I'm having a speech impediment today, but yeah. Subscribe, I guess. Thanks.